Hey party people, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to continue my things I've consumed this week, so let's get straight into it. I am wearing a scarf at home. This is, I don't know why recently I've been styling my really oversized scarves as like ponchos and I've been loving it. But the first thing I read this week is an article called The Rise of Little Brother in the Digital Age. And it is such an interesting article. It takes the name Little Brother from Big Brother, George Orwell, 1984, this idea of consistent surveillance, and it's almost like a reiteration of that. So Little Brother is peer surveillance, people filming each other. And I know there's a lot of conversation about like consent when it comes to filming people. I'm not talking about them just like being in the background of vlogs. I'm talking about people going out of their way to use others as content without their consent. And this was such an interesting article. I just clicked my shoulder, but it was such an interesting article that kind of highlighted, in an age of where like boundaries and we have all of these buzzwords, when it comes to online gain, people are so committed to be self-serving. Like they don't care about other people's boundaries, they don't care about consent. All they care about is what they can gain from dehumanizing someone and making them into a prop that can be used in their content. And recently I also saw a TikTok of Jackie Aina, and she was speaking about private proposals. You know, some people on the internet, you can gain a lot of attention by having grand proposals, whatever it may be. But not everybody wants to live their life like that. Some people would just go to a very sentimental spot. They don't need a cameraman. If they wanted to, they would. I'm sure in today's age, they have a phone. If they wanted to film it, they'd film it themselves. But you have watchers or people who are standing by who will then film it, put it on the internet and say, oh, I hope this couple find it, I managed to capture this private moment. You don't care about the couple, let's be honest. You care about the engagement that you can gain from said video, because it's content over everything nowadays. If you wanted to, you really could have, in the same way that you filmed it, gone to them and said, hey, I captured this moment for you guys, let me airdrop it to you, blah, blah, blah. What is the need to put it on the internet for it to be consumed by thousands or millions of people? It is self-serving. You've now taken these people, these real life people who are living their life, and basically changed them or made them into a form of consumption to exist online. And I just thought it was so unbelievably interesting. And the article at the very end kind of speaks about if and when government was to move to being more surveillance, is there any way that we'd be able to say no when we surveillance each other so much already? And I just thought it was a great thinking point. It was so interesting. Okay, the second is a Substack article that I read that said Gen Z really do have a work ethic problem. And this just got under my skin for so many reasons. It speaks about how back in the day, 34 years ago, people, if they were asked like, oh, if you were given all the money in the world, would you still work? People said yes, lies. People would feel more inclined to work overtime, whatever it may be. And when these questions were posed to Gen Zs, staggeringly like 70% of people said no, they wouldn't work, or that they wouldn't work overtime, all these different things. And it was made to seem as though Gen Z were the people with the work ethic problem. But I also think the disillusionment of the corporate world, the way it has crumbled during our lifetime, isn't something that's taken into consideration. From 2008, right, so people saw their parents getting laid off. Then we had the panoramic. Then we had loads of people losing their jobs, and the current recession that we're in. We have seen, Gen Z, so much failure when it comes to the corporate world, and how you will be discredited, you'll be at a loss of your job regardless of whatever it is that you give. You can work 30, 40 years, give everything to a company, and if they need to make financial cuts, you're on the chopping block. If you pass away, God forbid, next week they will have your vacancy on the website. So there is a real shift, I think, in the ideology and how people view work as Gen Z. Why give everything to a company? Why sacrifice your own life and only live after retirement when you can live alongside work? And I think another huge contributing factor to this is travel. I feel like a lot more people are traveling at a lot younger ages, and when you travel the world, you can see work-life balance. You can see ways in which it is much harder than wherever it is that you live, but you also see places where there is work-life balance. You see that this world does exist. So why is it that we are starving ourselves from it? I just thought it was such an interesting take, but also I feel like we have the right mindset when it comes to work. A lot of Gen Z, you can do a great job. You know, during the lockdown, when people working from home, nothing, when most people managed to continue, all these companies managed to continue and thrive and still exist today for the most part. And if they don't, it wasn't as a result of working from home. Does that make sense? So why can't people have those luxuries? Why can't we give more towards a world that has a work-life balance? But yeah. The third, this is just such a sweet read. It was a Substack article called The Intimacy of Being Understood. And after reading this, I thought, you know what? That's all we need. That's all we need, and that's all that we yearn for, to be understood. And it kind of talks on, you know, when you meet strangers or those people that you just haven't met for, you haven't known them for a long time, but within the short period in which you've known them, you just connect with them so deeply. And it's this idea that they understand you without needing this huge explanation. And one example this Substack article gave is when you're explaining something and then you have to be like, oh, and what I mean is, and the person just cuts you off and they're like, no, I understand. Oh my God. Oh my God, let's inject it. That feeling is, it's just so beautiful. It was just such a sweet read. I was just smiling the entire time when I read it. Okay, another Substack article that I read, and it's called A Modern Friendship, and it highlights the experiment between two friends who tied themselves to each other with an 8-foot rope for a year, and within that year they were not allowed to touch each other, but they had to just like live and coexist together. And their takeaway point at the end of this experiment was that they should give 100% all of the time. And I thought, in today's day and age, right, when everyone is telling you like how to navigate friendships and situationships and relationships or whatever it may be, the idea of giving 100% all of the time is really a notion that's not touched on until so far down the line. But I think when you realize, first you obviously have to practice like understanding and see that this person deserves your 100%. But you don't lose anything from being a great person. You don't lose anything by giving your 100%. You know what I mean? If someone wants to betray your trust or your kindness or whatever it may be, that's always a reflection of them. At least you won't regret things. And this article spoke about how things were so much easier when they knew it was coming to an end, but also they could have just navigated with ease the entire time. And I think it speaks for all relationships that you have in life. Okay, then next is this tweet that I saw, and it says, I buy a lot of vintage non-designer clothes secondhand, H&M, Next, Oasis, Gap, and the quality difference of cheap clothes from 10 to 20 years ago now is astounding. And I was thinking about this in relation to my mom's clothes, right? So my mom has a lot of just high street fashion, but these clothes are like 20 years ago. So they have been lived in, they've been washed countless times, and they are so incredibly durable in comparison to any of the clothes that I buy from the high street nowadays. And even thinking back to things that I have brought firsthand, I can't remember the last time I brought an item of clothing that was firsthand, because there is just no, like, quality has gotten so bad that you don't know where to shop. Like, even higher end, high street fashion, A, they need to calm down with the prices, but B, you can't even guarantee that those clothes are going to be of great quality. And I wonder what is happening. Where are we going to get quality clothes from? And where are we going to be able to shop from? You know what I mean? Like, what is happening in the world of fashion? What is happening in the House of Parliament? I don't know. I don't know, and I don't understand. Okay. The next is this TikTok, and this TikTok I've thought about it for ages, I'm gonna play it now actually.
I'm being dead ass when I ask this. Why do people on the internet behave as though they've never encountered a generalization in their life ever? Like, why is the expectation that any broad statement that someone makes must apply directly to your unique situation? I'm I struggle to understand it because you can't possibly traffic in the real world behaving that way. Can you?
I think the split, right, between how people navigate in the real world and how people navigate online is astonishing. Like, it actually boggles my mind because it is so true. To be consistently triggered by any and everything, like I've even experienced this from my small times when I post on TikTok, wherever it may be. You can say that you like something, you can say that you dislike something. There is always going to be someone to contend it, and I always find it interesting because there is no way you can navigate life. Like, how exhausting must it be to feel the need to comment and take everything personally? Like, nothing can be passive, nothing can be a scroll by anymore. And in real life, A, it'll be exhausting, B, you would not be liked. If you can't have a conversation with a person, with a group of friends, with colleagues, without always feeling the need to bite back or say something that counters the opinion that is being said, especially when it is frivolous. I'm not talking about something that's like harmful or political, whatever it may be. Just someone saying that they like this brand of this, or they didn't like the time when they went to said country. It's just so interesting to me. Like, and what gets me is the purposefully being obtuse, or the being purposefully misunderstanding something all the time on the internet. I just don't understand it. There's no way that you can exist like that in real life. Yet internet has kind of like created this new behavior that is just entirely negative. It just makes no sense. I don't get it. Okay, and the last one, oh my goodness me, it's a TikTok that I saw, but it is footage from 1994, and they're speaking about Margiela shoes. So tabbies have been all the rave, whatever it may be. I'm gonna play the clip right now.
So it was super cool because in that year it was like you buy Margiela and you go to dance without knowing it's Margiela, but it's nice, you like it, you buy it and you wear it. I don't have many of my Margiela because they fell apart because I wore them again and again.
You were dancing in Margiela.
Dancing a lot.
But I think it speaks to fashion and what fashion has become. There used to be like a culture around fashion, and even people now, they're speaking about like, oh, if you wear a t-shirt of a rock band and you don't listen to that rock band, blah, blah, blah. I don't mean it in that like a tedious sense, but in the same way it's true. Like, it was such a form of expression, and it wasn't something that you were worried about being seen twice in. You could re-wear it. It was something to have fun in. When you wore these £1,000 shoes, £1,000 is crazy, but it wasn't about signaling to other people like, I'm part of this club, and trying to communicate what interests you have by wearing them. It was about living in them and then expressing what it was. Does that make sense? I feel as though, I wonder whether we've got to a point where we are so lonely that we have to wear things in order to communicate with people non-verbally of what it is that we like and what it is that we dislike, instead of just speaking and communicating. I don't know. But yes, those are 7 things that I have consumed this week. I really hope that you enjoyed it. There's like a nice mix of different things. And yes, I will see you guys in my next video next week. Take care.